The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Well, we're here another week, another Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. Thanks for tuning in. I know this is flip-flopping shows this week. We've got the national show on Wednesday, doing the off-road podcast with 4 Parts on Tuesday. So just kind of flip-flopping things around. Big reason for that, I've been doing a lot of traveling. Actually, both trips are confidential, and I can't talk about them. But I got to promise you guys, it is going to be amazing when I can finally bring you in the loop on all things and everything I've got going on. We got some rad content going to drop, and just some really, really rad stuff that's like sworn to secrecy type thing. But yes, welcome to the show. Back here with another 2 hours of some of your favorite in motorsports. And I got to tell you, this last weekend was crazy, off the hook with everything that was going on in the world of motorsports. Not only do we have the big bad Baja 500, we had IndyCar in action in a double header in Detroit, NHRA on tap. And then you look at this coming weekend, man, it's like pulling no punches. We go into Formula D. We also had Oregon Trail Rally last weekend, and then we roll right into the kickoff for short course at Crandon. Like, it's just, it's a madhouse in June in the world of motorsports. Like, IndyCar back in action in Texas. They're on that bender where it's like, 2 months straight almost. Just crazy, crazy times in motorsport right now. So if you're a racing fan, you got no shortage of entertainment on the weekends. That is for sure. But talking about today's show, man, this one, we're all over the board. We've got Harrison Burton, General Tire ARCA driver, also racing in multiple NASCAR series. One of the up-and-coming talents. Was fun to catch up with him out there at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then we've got my good friend Sara Price, fastest lady in the dirt. Yes, she is back on the show. Got a little teaser for her big, long interview that I did on the podcast that dropped yesterday. Also got T Stone with Report. She was on site at Oregon Trail Rally. We got Chris Leone on tap for 2 segments of Power Rankings. Man, this one is off the hook today. Be prepared for the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. Extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
Ford WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, Ford WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to Ford WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at FordWP.com.
For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or @VisionWheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Oh man, that was a hell of a ride. Go check out mymedic.com for the best first aid kits on the planet and save 15% with discount code Jim Beaver. Again, mymedic.com, discount code Jim Beaver, and save 15%. It's cheaper than a funeral.
Definitely check out our good friends there at mymedic.com. They've got some rad stuff. They just sent me, it's called the Boat Medic. It's like this hard shell case. Actually works really well for off-road, completely tight sealed military case. Good stuff over there at MyMedic. So, yeah, if you're looking for a first aid kit, man, no doubt, check them out, mymedic.com. Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here. We're getting ready to kick things off. We had a wild weekend. Before we get to talking about that, I do have to welcome a new partner in our show, in my race programs. Good friends at superatv.com. They make some of the best axles on the planet. Just everything for UTV, ATV, aftermarket parts, accessories, suspension, dialed in, on lock. Check them out, superatv.com. Welcome to the Familia Super ATV. Yeah, Mitch Guthrie, Sara Price. I mean, they got some of the biggest, baddest UTV racers on the planet running their stuff. So, you know it's good. But, this weekend, it was a wild one down in Baja. And, you know, anytime you go to the Baja 500, I mean, this is one of the crown jewels of off-road racing, right? This is the one you want to win. If you're an off-road driver, you know, you got, what do you got? The Baja 1000, the Baja 500, Mint 400, Vegas to Reno. Those are kind of your four desert race crown jewels, you know? Just talking about here domestically, obviously Dakar, there's that, Silkway Rally, you know, and there's some other really good events like the Parker 425, but those four, and particularly the Baja, I mean, those are kind of the crown jewels of things, you know? So you got like this tiering system. Well, I'd say Baja 1000's on top. And then below that, you've got Mint 400 and Baja 500, and probably Vegas to Reno. And then below that, you've got Parker 425, San Felipe. Then below that, you've got a bunch of just, yard sale races. Not yard sale races, but just ones that don't quite mean as much. But you win one of those other ones, man, and it's like legit, boom. It's a statement if you win those, if you're only going to have one big win in your career, you want to make it one of them. Let's put it that way. So, Baja 500, it was weird because it was a little bit short on the entry list, I felt this year. Like I felt like, it just wasn't up to, I mean, I remember racing the Baja 500 when we were having 400 entries, and this was like in the low twos, which is kind of weird. I don't know what's going on, but the big class 6100, trophy truck, UTV, they had a lot of entries, but even by those standards, they were a little short. Like 6100 wasn't quite what Best in the Desert gets, same with Pro Turbo UTV. So I don't know what's going on, but, that's not to take away from any of the performances or any of the victories, because it is Baja. And this one in particular, man, they ran it out of Estero Beach, which is different. I think it's a first. Now, I may have some off-road, and I know my off-road, but I may have somebody correct me, but I think it's the first time they've ever run it out of Estero, had contingency at Estero. I get why Score wanted to do it. I mean, it's a cluster in downtown Ensenada. It's a mess down there. Racing at a town down, I don't know what you'd call it, the ditch, the drainage ditch. It's just... it's a mess. It's a nightmare, and but you move it to Estero, and then, I think a lot of people wanted it moved, and then you get there and you're like, oh, Baja's kind of lost its flavor, at least contingency, So I've heard I've heard varying stories on both sides, and things like that. Like contingency just wasn't what people normally wished it to be. And so I think it just this 500 had a little bit different feel to it. But then starting out at Estero, it's a new start. And, before it was like you race out of the city streets a little bit, get in the ditch, run out of town, and then, gas on, game on. Well, here at Estero, you run out of the short course, started side by side. That's interesting for the 500. But then, I guess 2 miles in, there was this massive silt bed, and people knew it was there from pre-running, and they knew it was going to get bad, and boom, trophy trucks buried in in quicksand silt, right off the start. So they ended up having to reroute things, and there was a bunch of trophy trucks just pissed, ruined their day, ruined their race 2 miles into the race, pull the plug, dunzo. And I guess it was one of those, and I think if you listen to the Sara Price interview today, yes, it was pre-taped, or the full-length one we did on the off-road edition, she talks about it. There was no way, without rerouting it, to find a way it went around. There was just no other alternate lines, just legit was not. So you were forced to go through the soupy mess, and think about that. We've got trophy trucks with, 900 horsepower and 40-inch tires getting stuck. That's crazy. That stuff is going to swallow. If it's going to swallow a trophy truck whole, it's going to swallow everything else whole as well. That's some legit silt. You go swimming in that silt bed. So it was an interesting start. That kind of threw, I think, a wrench in everybody's plans right off the bat. And, and from then on, it was just kind of, I don't know, salvage the race, right? But I think at one point, it was actually kind of crazy. There was Andy, Dan, and Luke McMillan, all three running in the top three overall. I thought that was something special. When was the last time three guys with a last name, obviously Dan and Luke brothers, and then Andy is a cousin, but, we're 1, 2, and 3, overall in a race. That was crazy. That would have been something special to see all three of them on the podium at the same time. Obviously, it didn't work out that way. Andy going on to take a dominating win. But Andy just on fire right now. But Robbie Gordon had a really good run. He was in a geyser truck and then had a problem, lost his brakes. But I don't know if anybody else is following. I follow Robbie Gordon on Instagram, and he's followed me for a long time. But about a year ago, I think he finally figured out this Instagram thing. And since then, it's been game on. I mean, you're getting legit Robbie freaking Gordon on Instagram, and if you're not following him, you need to be. I mean, he's got a couple 100,000 followers at this point, rightfully so, but legit, he pokes the bear. He throws up. You're getting his personality uncut, unhinged. It is absolutely hilarious because he pokes fun at Bryce Menzies. I mean, it's just so funny. He was in his geyser truck. He wasn't in. He was in a geyser truck for RPM. He wasn't in his normal, his normal trophy truck. I guess he's got an all-wheel drive truck that he's building, which is that's a story for another day. We need to catch up with RG on the show. But he beat Bryce on the drag race. Bryce saying he jumped, and Robbie's posted up videos and just totally poking the bear. And he's posting comments on other people's stuff. He does it on mine once in a while. He just he does not care. No F's given would be the proper thing, but it's almost funny to watch this play out. And he doesn't care who you are. He is definitely, if he's got an opinion on something, he's gonna give it to you. And if he gets the best of you, oh, you are gonna hear it. And this is the NASCAR Robbie Gordon, and this is the Robbie Gordon that the fans loved and half the drivers hated, right? And we're getting that on his Instagram, and I got to tell you, I love it. This is why people love Robbie Gordon, because he doesn't pull any punches. He tells you what's on his mind. If he screws up, he'll tell you. If he does something good, he's going to tell you. And if he gets the best of you, he's damn sure going to tell you. And I think that is what is so freaking special about what's happening on Robbie Gordon's Instagram right now. And I've been a fan of his for a long time. He's a good friend of mine. So I find it humorous. I find it funny. I'm sure some of the people don't, but I think all the fans are enjoying this. So I'm just saying, if you're not following Robbie Gordon on Instagram, I don't know if I could give a better commercial for following Robbie Gordon on Instagram. You need to be right now. That is 1,000% the truth. So, yeah, I talked a little bit about Baja. I got a couple of news bites. I know Chris and I will probably jump into some of them when we talk power rankings. Just some big news coming out of World of Racing. I know Greg Biffle, my boy Biffle, he is back in the Truck Series this weekend. Very, very much looking forward to the Biff back behind the wheel in NASCAR in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Got a chance to win, right out of the box. That's awesome. And then Connor Daly, my boy Connor Daly, big friend of the show. Mr. Connor has found himself a ride. He's going to be filling in for Max Chilton there in with Carlin at Texas Motor Speedway. Sounds like it could be a deal for the rest of the year on the ovals, but going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Very, very excited to see Connor Daly. It's a one-off right now, they're calling it. I know, like, Andretti's working on something more full-time for Connor Daly, so it sounds like Connor may – this is a one-off because he wants to keep that Andretti thing open in case something matures, but it sounds like Andretti gave him the permission to go and run this car, and, rightfully so, man. Connor Daly behind the wheel is something, and keeping the rust off, man, that is always a good thing. So, yeah, big news coming out of IndyCar with that. So stoked for our boy Connor Daly to find his way behind the wheel. We'll definitely be tuned in this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. It's always an exciting one. So, yeah, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I think we're going to have Harrison Burton on the show, talking a little NASCAR and family history and a whole lot more right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver here, and yeah, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. I was out at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the General Tire ARCA 150. I was able to catch up with quite a few drivers. Ty Majeski ended up taking that victory. Actually, back-to-back ARCA wins now. And, one thing I like about General Tire is they've invested highly in, kind of the future stars of NASCAR with their involvements in ARCA and the other NASCAR touring series. And it's really rad to be able to catch up with these kids. Harrison Burton here's this kid, obviously, the name Burton from NASCAR Cup. His dad, just an absolute legend of NASCAR. He's a young, up-and-coming driver. I was able to catch up with him out there at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's had a phenomenal run. He's running in various different NASCAR series as well as the ARCA series. Had a great run there at, the General Tire 150 at Charlotte. But it's always fun to catch up with these kids and kind of hear where they came from and where they're going. And such was the case with Harrison Burton. So we're going to roll this interview. I did it at about 2 weeks ago. I think you guys may have heard it in my Project Action Futures of NASCAR podcast. But, here's Harrison Burton. Okay, we got Harrison Burton. We're out here at the ARCA General Tire 150 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, man. And, I guess he just got done doing some media stuff. We're going to grab you here. That one's always fun to hear what the answers are. I didn't get to see all the answers there. What was the celebrity crush question?
Oh, I didn't answer that one. I had a different set of questions. I don't know, man. I don't have a celebrity crush. I don't feel like. I feel like I get myself in trouble with my girlfriend and my mom if I say a celebrity crush. So, I'm still in the double jeopardy phase where you have your mom to get in trouble with and your girlfriend to get in trouble with. So, I'm trying to stay out of that.
I can tell you're the smartest guy in the room already.
Oh yeah, man. Trying to stay smart. Trying to stay out of it.
Oh, nice. Well, take us through this year, because, dude, you started out. I mean, you've got a crazy year. I mean, you're bouncing in and out of different series. It's hard for me to keep track. I mean, you got somebody that's got to be like, hey, you got to do this today, that today, like keeping you on task, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not the best at scheduling either, so it's been a cluster. But I've been able to kind of get a little bit of extra time now. I'm going to graduate high school on Friday. And be done with that completely, which is exciting, and be ready to hit the road full time as a race car driver, which is pretty cool. I'll do some online college stuff here and there, but now I'll be able to kind of schedule myself in more time and be able to get stuff knocked out in the beginning of the day, and then have the rest of the day to hang out or do whatever. Kind of like a normal 9-to-5 schedule, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you got to be excited. It's like high school's done, over, no more homework. Like, it's got to really, like, you got to be looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, for sure. It was crazy. Every time I would leave for a race, I'd come home with a stack of makeup work to do, and it was tough to get it done, but I'm glad that I did it. I feel like I learned a lot about myself and about how to do stuff like that and find a way to make it all work. So I'm glad that happened, and it was a struggle, but it was fun.
So all that being said, man, talking about this year, I know kicking things off at Daytona. I mean, dude, you took a win at Daytona. I don't get, like, I just talking to Christian, and he sat on the pole twice at Daytona, but I'm like, you talk Daytona, I don't care if it's ARCA all the way up to Cup. Like, a win there, that's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure, and I think everyone saw it when I got out of my car there. I was pretty pumped up. I lost my voice on the cool down lap, and then while I was doing my burnout, I was screaming with no voice, and then I got out of my car and I was screaming with even less of a voice, and then had to do an interview, so I was a little bit raspy, and that's just a really cool experience because you never expect to actually win. You have a plan in your head, and in the back of your head, you're like, oh, it might not work out very well, and it's such a crazy racetrack with crazy moments that happen throughout the race, and when you get through them and you know you're not going to get past coming to the checkered flag, and it's a crazy feeling to come out of turn 4 and hear no one's got to run, and your spotter's kind of coaching you along, and then you cross the start-finish line, a winner at Daytona is crazy. Even crazier for me because it was my first time ever trying there. The truck race didn't go as well. Me and my teammate both wrecked in the same crash, so that's no good, but at least I can always say I won at Daytona. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, is that one of those, like you said, you got to do burnouts at Daytona? That's got to be like the dream of every race car driver, actually able to do burnouts at Daytona. Is that something you had planned in your head, like, hey, I'm actually going to do the burnouts this way, or is that one of those you just shoot from the hip and roll with it?
I just shot from the hip, man. I was not even trying to do burnouts for a while. I was just driving around, taking it all in, and then did a burnout and got out of my car and gave a checkered flag to a kid, and that was cool. And when you say every driver dreams about that, you're right. I remember being 4 and 5 years old. I have this really good friend at school who's always telling me I never shot him out in interviews. Timmy Jones is his name, but we used to pretend that he was my pit crew and I won the Daytona 500. Every day after school, he would be like, we won the Daytona 500, and we would just jump around when we were really young, and pretty crazy to actually win there and kind of see all that come full circle. For sure, it was cool.
Well, that being said, obviously we're talking about ARCA. You've done some trucks, some Xfinity racing. Like, how is that for you, bouncing back and forth between the different disciplines? Because, I mean, as much as they're the same, they're different. You know what I mean? How's that you as a driver adjusting to the 3 different vehicles and bouncing back and forth between them?
It's tough because not only are you adjusting to vehicles, you're adjusting to teams, you're adjusting to pit crews, you're adjusting to your competitors. There's so many different levels to it that beyond just driving the race car in itself or the truck in of itself, because each one is a little bit different. The trucks are more aero grip dependent. Xfinity is more mechanical grip dependent, and then ARCA is kind of somewhere in between there, where you have mechanical grip and aero grip. So it's tough, and it's been a challenge, but I think I'm learning more about myself as a race car driver through it and getting better and better.
Well, all that being said, too, you're bouncing back and forth between all these different series. I believe you've already raced at Charlotte once this year, right? And you feel like you coming into this weekend, you got a little bit of a leg up on everybody else?
Yeah, for sure. I just raced here last week, so I feel like I'm racing my local short track again back in the day and running the same racetrack every night. It's cool to be able to race at home, and especially worked out well because my graduation is this week, so I can just literally stay at home and then go graduate the next day, and then and I haven't traveled anywhere for 2 weeks and have been racing. So it's been the best of both worlds for me. It's been really nice, and I'm enjoying that for sure.
Well, and talk a little bit too, because you're coming into all this, and like you said, you're bouncing between series, this and that. I mean, how is it having your dad to rely on, a guy that's been there, done that? You can pick his brain when all this is going on. You've got like a guy that you can just go to and be like, hey, how do I approach this, Dad?
Yeah, it's been nice, and that's kind of been my advantage my whole life, is been able to just go to my dad's room and ask him questions. I feel like that's been the biggest help of having a dad that raced in the past. Everyone talks about that in a negative light, but in my mind, it's just an advantage in a competition standpoint, because I've been, I've been lucky enough to be proactive and to ask my dad these questions and to study and learn from him my whole life. And now I feel very prepared for what's coming because of that. And hopefully I'm right about that and we win some races.
So that being said, talking about winning races, what's it going to take to put it on top of the box here at Charlotte?
Just going to be aggressive, I think. This place, I think it rewards aggression, but you have to be precise while you do it. You get into 1 and 2, and there's a lot of grip, and you're hauling the mail through there, and you go down 3 and 4, and there's less grip. And you saw in truck qualifying, everyone missed the bottom in 3 and 4, including me, Kyle Busch, Todd Gilliland. I mean, everyone that was in KBM missed the bottom. Everyone that was in GMS missed the bottom. And I felt like if I would have ran the bottom and actually made the line work, I could have gotten the pole. So it rewards aggression up to a point. And I think the biggest thing is finding that line of the grip that the track can take, and then going for it.
Yeah, so that's one of those, you were here a week ago, did that. Now it's like you sharing any of that info with your teammates here? You're like, I want to be on the pole. I'm not giving them the speed secrets here for the ARCA race.
I don't know. It's a tough place because I'm really good friends with all my teammates really at Venerini and at KBM, and you want to beat them because they're your friends, and then you want to also help them because they're your friends. So it's a tough place to be in, but I think it's my job as a race car driver to help my teammates. And even though they're the people that you want to beat the most every weekend and you want to be in front of your teammates, you still have to help them out, and they have to help you out, and that's definitely good for the team as a whole.
Yeah, that's what Christian said. He goes, he's like, we all have fun together. He's like, you want to beat your friends so bad because it's all about bragging rights after the race, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. And what's crazy is you're right. Like, it's not about anything else. It's just that we can say that we beat you, and it's cool because we have a group of friends that is, I think really good. I think as a whole, our group of drivers that we all hang out with all are really technically sound and have good fundamentals as race car drivers. So it's fun to bounce ideas off each other and learn from each other, but you only do it so much because you don't want to help them out.
But that is a good thing, knowing that, if something's not quite right, you can go in and be like, hey, how are you approaching this? You've got that awesome core group there, that'll help you to an extent.
Yeah, for sure. And we're all kind of learning through it together, and we help each other out. And as soon as the race starts, all bets are off, though, and it's whatever you got to do to be the guy. It's got to get done.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time, buddy. Good luck this week at Charlotte and in 2019.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, so that was Harrison Burton, young up-and-coming slayer of tires in NASCAR, in the NASCAR ranks. Always fun catching up with these young guns. Definitely one to watch as, his career arc progresses. I just love ARCA, man. You got Haley Deegan. You got, Natalie Decker just moved up. But you got Zane Smith, Riley Herbst. Some of these off-road kids. Sheldon Creed had a great run out there at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's great to see these kids and know here 3, 4, 5 years from now, they are going to be the stars of NASCAR. Kind of rad. Kind of cool that General Tire is invested in that. So, yeah, we are going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to have a big interview with my good friend Sara Price. That is right, fastest woman in off-road. She's going to be on the line right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR, when we return after this short break. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Do you race or are you a weekend warrior? Have you checked on the date on your helmet recently? Don't get caught off guard by using an outdated helmet. Impact Racing, the leader in motorsport safety, has new SA 2015 helmets to fit your budget. Whether you're looking for a helmet with a full carbon fiber shell to take you to victory at the Indy 500 or just looking for some helmets for a weekend at Glamis, Impact Racing has a helmet for you. Find out more information at impactraceproducts.com or on Facebook at Impact Safety. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. All killer and no filler.
All right, I'd like to welcome my guest, one of my guests this week, to the Foil Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, as well as the national show, the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Got, I guess, my RZR, Super ATV, and four-wheel parts, and Impact teammate, Sara Price. I kind of like that. Like, you and I have all these, like, mashups going on, Sara Price.
We do. I know. I was actually just looking at your banner, and I was like, I'm so stoked that Four Parts came on board. Like, it doesn't get better than that company and the people that run it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, too, because it's like old home week for me and, like, for you, because, you know, Craig went there, and then Joey D went there, and now Jason DeFucia's there, and I'm like, man, I have, like, all these people are phenomenal. Like, some of my favorite people in the industry, and then they all land at Four Wheel Parts, and you know, and it's kind of cool. And I know we'll talk about your relationship with them because you're even more expanded than me. They came on as title sponsor of my podcast and then kind of associate sponsor of everything else. But like, I feel like with them I just hit the ground running. Like, we all knew each other, we knew what we do. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't like we had to feel each other out, you know, because we had that built-in relationship. And I feel like with you, like, was this kind of the same thing? Like, your deal was announced and it was like, boom, you guys were off and running.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. I was super thankful that they believed in, you know, what I wanted to pursue this year, and they kind of wanted to get me up off my feet to make a big impact this year, and so they gave me the tools to do that. And yeah, like I said, everyone's always mix and match, and they come from everywhere in the industry. And once Craig kind of went in that direction, you know, he had his people as well kind of go in tow. And, you know, even Rusty Baptist is over there.
I saw it. Rusty's there too. Yeah, like, just good people.
Yeah, they're the best people, and you have a family, and you have a ton of great, amazing people in your corner, and that's all you can really ask for when you get sponsorship like that, because, you know, it's not always about business. It's also about having your race family.
Yeah, well, and I know with Joey D, like, I've already been pitching him ideas, you know, just like, hey, let's do this. Like, I've got a new Raptor coming in. Joey, let's do a build on this thing. Like, and like, hey, here's an influencer. We should, we should tie up with them or this and that. Like, and he's all ears like, yes, let's go. Let's do this. And it's like, I love companies like that they think out of the box. Like you can pitch these wild hair ideas at them and, and they don't think, man, this guy's crazy. Like they're like, all right, yeah, I think we can work with this, and I feel like I've got that vibe from 4Wheel Parts, and I love working with companies like that because I'm always got these like pipe dream crazy ideas, and I honestly, some people look at me and they're like, God, this guy's batshit crazy, and I can actually say this because it's a podcast. But you know what I mean? Like Joey and Craig, they don't, they're just like, yeah, we get it. Let's roll with this,
Yeah, that was really cool. Joey's always like, he's like the hype man. He's always down for anything. He always has those crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Like he just called me and he wants to do like a promo at one of the stores tomorrow, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be painting cars all day. I'm not going to really have much time to get ready to look like presentable. And he goes, well, why don't we just keep you in your race suit like you just got stuck at the border? I was like, okay. Like, but that's just, it's rad. It's just cool to make it happen, and the funny ideas and the cool ideas we come up with. But yeah, you got to appreciate people like that who actually have the passion and drive and want to try new things and do new things and aren't afraid to take risks.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was, Joey, the hype man. I've never even thought about that before. I'm like, he's like off-road's Don King. Like, he's going to hype it up. And he did that with UTVs,
you might hate
though.
me for saying that, but
No, I think that's like, honestly, it's a form of endearment because we all love Joey. And no, but it's the truth. He did that with UTVs. I mean, you look back at what he did in the beginning, like, let's face it, when they first came out, nobody cared about UTVs. I mean, they're quote-unquote golf carts, right? Nobody cared. Joey made them care. It was just like, he was the hype man. He's like, hey, we got, he just kept talking until people started listening,
Yep. He's done really well for himself. So I'm pretty proud of Joey, actually, because I've seen him from the very beginning of most of it.
Yeah. And I know he and I kind of he was a year prior to me kind of starting this. And like, we've talked about it. We kind of ran parallels, with the growth of UTV Underground and the growth of, my, whatever the hell I've got now, media company. And we've talked about it a lot, and it's like, and we also talk about the ones that started out and then never got off the ground, and it was just, like, there's just, there's a sweat equity that goes into it, and Joey knows that, and he earned his place, and I think you're for one too, though. Like, I look at what you've done, and transitioning from bikes to four wheels and, and even with your business, that you kind of mentioned, your paint business, like, it's sweat equity. Like, you've hustled, you didn't allow yourself to fail, Sarah.
Yeah, I just reinvented myself every chance I could get. Motocross was my whole childhood, and I dedicated my entire life to it. And then when that kind of failed and there wasn't really a light at the end of the tunnel, I was like, oh no, like, what do I do with myself? And then I created my paint business and started doing touch-up on cars, and then I could fund myself to race side-by-sides. And then one thing led to another, and then I was in the truck, and then I had my business still, and then I was in a trophy truck with Chris Leone and RPM, and it's really just been a crazy journey, and I'm so thankful for so much, and on the side of all the racing and my paint business, I'm also a stunt woman, and stunts this last year has really picked up for me, and I couldn't be more happy about that, and it's crazy. I also expanded my business, and I now have 7 girls, and all 7 girls who paint cars, they're all racers or in the racing industry of some sort. So it's pretty cool to share that and be able to help them kind of provide themselves with a future as well.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned something back there, and I know, like, I've actually had this conversation very recently with some people, and I was telling my story on somebody else's show, and you talked about reinventing yourself, and I think that's like a key, especially in this industry, and like you, especially as like a professional dirt bike rider, like, Jolene was really fortunate, that Nitro Circus came along, and I know you and I are both very, very close with Joe. But like you, I mean, it was in an early age where you had to reinvent yourself, but even talking about that, like every year or two, you've reinvented yourself, not necessarily like creating an all new Sara Price, but, you look at things, you're like, all right, where am I at? Where do I need to go? What's happening in this industry? What do I need to know? And I feel like you've done a good job of that. I look at myself back 15 years and see what I've done, and I think, another one's like Joey, but I think every single, year we're assessing the situation and where we're at and where we need to go, because we all know, like, if you sit there and you're doing the same thing, like, at some point it's all going to dry up. You know, you got to consistently be, I guess Matt Martelli says it best, you got to evolve or die, you know?
Exactly, totally. You have to reinvent and evolve, because nothing is the same too long and everything dims out. You know, there's the light for a little bit and then it's like, okay, you got to keep charging and figuring out how to make this bigger and better, or make in this direction to achieve this goal. And that's where you just have to, like, you know, a lot of people, you see social media, right? And you always put the great on there. But little do they see all the work behind it. You know, like, people don't see on my social media my paint business as much because I don't really throw it out there. But yeah, it's like, you know, I have my racing and that's only a small percentage of my time most of the time. And I'm always racing. But when I'm at home in my weekly days, it's full on work mode, you know, to try making the dream happen, because racing's my passion and working's what provides me to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's smart too. You've got to fall back, because we all know, like, at some point we all are, you know, I'm honestly living the dream as a professional race car driver. I've got amazing sponsors. A lot of it's tied to my media work and things like that, but you're the same way. But you've got your fallback plan, you know, with painting and stuff that can always be there, and you're growing that, you know. And I've seen now, like, a lot of professional supercross racers and things like that, they're starting that side business as, you know, as they're relevant. And they're kind of trying to grow that side business, so when the checks finally stop coming in supercross and motocross, you know, they've got a big fallback plan. I mean, Dale Jr. did that in NASCAR. He's got this whole huge media podcasting company that he started when he was relevant in NASCAR. And now that he's, you know, off the grid in NASCAR, he's got a whole media company that's making this, you know, huge amount of money for him. And I think, you know, that's crucial that, you know, athletes now, professional athletes in action sports and racing, do things like that, because, I mean, our shelf life, I hate to say it, but it seems like, you know, it's getting shorter and shorter. I mean, you look at a kid like Seth Quintero and the talent he's got, he's only 16, and, like, I hate to say it, but I'm, like, beyond over the hill, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, by racing standards, like, it's crazy, you know?
It is. It totally is. And that is something, as an athlete, you know, that will never last forever. You can't be at your tip top for, you know, your whole life. And so you have to have fallback. And I think that's first. And then second is, being able to pursue what you like. And I think it makes it that much better too. Like, being able to race that truck now and know that I have my house paid off and I have my car payment taken care of and whatever, it's like, cool, I'm here racing, and just for the fact of loving it. Like, I'm here to do the best I could possibly do. And, you know, I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want to have to depend on racing to make my car payment or anything like that. And yeah, I'm grateful. I definitely went through a hard time to figure it all out, but through it all, I figured it out, and I feel like I am in a pretty level place, and I'm not depending on racing for an income, but I would love to always get racing paid for. That's my goal.
Well, and I think that's key. Like, but you appreciate things so much more because you've had to earn it. You've gone through those struggles. And I actually had this conversation with somebody about a month ago on this young up and coming talent. And it was somebody that came from a wealthy family. And, you know, and I think the term was, you know, he's not engaged with anything that's going on, you know, and it's like he's super talented driver, but he just didn't quite care. And, you know,
yeah.
and I think it's because Dad had, you know, always written a check. Now, don't get me wrong. If my dad wanted to write 7-figure checks for me to go racing, like, I would absolutely, like, bring it on, Dad. But,
yeah.
You know, it's not happening. But I think, you know, somebody like that hasn't, you know, really had those struggles, like somebody like you and I, like, they're not going to value it. But I think everything you get, like, I know you on a personal level outside of this, and you and I have had some long conversations, and, like, you value every single thing that's given to you, whether it's, you know, a dollar part or, a 5-6 figure salary, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And you have to, you know, like, these people are supporting your dream, and how could you not thank them, you know? And all the time I, like, grown up in the sport of motocross and then crossing over to going to Mexico, the fans are insane and they're so supportive, and that's what's the coolest thing. And those people are the ones buying products of the people that are on your truck or on your vehicle or bike. And those logos, those people are representing, and they're wanting to buy from that because they're fans of you. And to support them, it means so much to them and yourself because you're helping out the whole industry. And a lot of times, like in motocross, I saw it quite a bit where you have these big name athletes and they would cold shoulder the fans. And I'm like, dude, that's why you're racing right there. That person's buying that product because of you. Like, give them the time of day because that will go very far and possibly even help you in the future.
Yeah, well, and I know you and I, like, I've been around Travis Pastrana, quite a bit. I know you know Travis a little well, and he's the same way. Like, he came from very humble beginnings, and he's become this global icon. But, like, he's one of those guys, like, every single fan, like, he will not walk away if there's still one person wanting an autograph. And, like, I even watched, like, especially this weekend, like, I was so impressed by it, and not just your run that we'll talk about, but after the fact, even today, like every single person that tagged you in a post, like you're sharing it to your stories. And one, I think that's great on your part, but two, I'm blown away by how many people are actually tagging you in their photos, Sara. Like, I race and I get tagged in photos, but not to that magnitude. Like, it's crazy how many people are tagging you in their stuff.
Oh, it's nuts. Like, me and Erica are even talking about it. There was, like, a time, I'm pulling to get girly on you, but when we were out there racing, and I, like, almost wanted to, like, welt up in tears, not because we're doing well, but because every corner we went through, there was someone either, like, it's kind of funny because a lot of people down there blow us kisses, and I'm like, that is so cool and so crazy because they know it's us girls. They wouldn't be blowing kisses to a guy, and I just, like, the support is just overwhelming, like, and how many people are such fans and just supportive and, like, they want to see us do well. And every place we go down in Mexico is just insane, and we're so appreciative of it. And, yeah, it's pretty unreal, actually, seeing my phone after a race when we do well. I want to respond to each and every one, but it's overwhelming sometimes, but I'm so grateful for it.
And if you want more of this amazing interview with Sara Price, you're going to check out the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, available on our website, downanddirtyshow.com, iTunes, Podcast One, and wherever you get the Down and Dirty Radio Show. It's about an hour long, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy that one. So we're just dropping a little teaser here in the national show. You have to skip over, subscribe, and get the full-length one, after you listen to this. But we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. And that was Sara Price, my good friend Sara Price. You can catch that full interview on the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, also powered by Polaris RZR. Definitely spent about an hour with Sara, and she does not disappoint. She's got such an amazing career arc. Everything from women's motocross to X Games to transitioning to UTVs and side-by-sides to stunt driving, and now everything that she's doing behind the wheel of a spec TT in the desert. Like, just an amazing person. She's hosted some radio with me in the past and things like that. And the girl definitely does not disappoint when you have her on air. That's for certain. So Lots of fun catching up with Miss Sara Price MX, as she's known on social media. But I don't know. I think we need to change it like Sara Price TT or something. But no, she's trophy truck racing. But yeah, anyways, good stuff. Check it out on the podcast. Subscribe over there on iTunes, all that good stuff. Anyways, yeah, we're going to fire up hour number 2 here shortly. Definitely looking forward to hour number 2. We got a big segment of Power Rankings with Chris Leone. Then we've got... Tiffany Stone, she's going to be calling in. She was out there at ARA Rally there in Oregon. Got to see David Higgins take the big W over there. So definitely looking forward to, all that and a whole lot more, in hour number 2. If you got any questions for me, as always, you want to, give us input on Power Rankings, questions for guests, hit me up on social media, on the social media machine. It is at Jim Beaver 15. That's right, Jim Beaver 15. And, I usually live tweet during the shows, so that's the easiest way, but I'll answer on any platform. Just might be a delay. But anyways, we're going to take a short break, and we come back. It is Power Rankings right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty Radio Show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
All right, and we're back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, kicking off hour number 2 of this rad podcast radio show, national radio show. I don't know, we're all over the place. I don't even know what the hell you want to call us anymore, but I do know that we bring it each and every week, not on this show, but the other 3 shows. So, yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Before we do get to, I guess, what's going to happen here in hour number 2 in this nice little short segment the national stations give us, I do want to mention, head over to our website, downanddirtyshow.com. Big ARX kickoff this weekend. Rallycross. It's Rallycross season, right? And definitely head over to our website. We got a big Dirtfish Rally ARX preview. We preview everything else. We did it just like the Indy 500 in an e-magazine format. Did this amazing layout. Chris on the website just destroyed it in a good way. Don't want to say he destroyed the website. That didn't come out right. Anyways, Chris just slayed this e-magazine. So if you're a rally fan, rally cross fan, check it out. It's an ARX preview presented by Dirtfish Rally School and the Down and Dirty Radio Show. We did this amazing e-magazine. Hopefully you guys love it. I think you're going to, man. If you're tuning in this show by now, you are a rally cross fan. So I'm definitely looking forward to this weekend. The big kickoff. I know they got a TV package at CBS Sports. Kind of airs on a delay. But, man, Scott Speed going over to Subaru Rally Team USA. Tanner Faust back. We got some young guns. Cabot David Bingham, Travis Pecoy, Steve Arpin, my man, he is back in action as well. This is going to be it's going to be an interesting new year, you know, especially with the Volkswagens. I know Andretti there with Volkswagen, but kind of a works type relationship with Volkswagen now, not necessarily a factory team. Scott Speed, you know, reigning champ, he's now a Subaru. Can Subaru finally get the monkey off their back, win a rallycross championship? It is to be determined, and we're going to know a lot after this weekend. Looking forward to it. I'm going to try and be live tweeting and stuff like that and following along, but should be an epic weekend of rallycross racing. So I would love to hear from you guys for heading out to that one. At Jim Beaver 15, let me know. But speaking of that, obviously, you know, rally racing, we had a big race happening over the weekend at Oregon Trail Rally. David Higgins narrowly edging out Travis Pastrana for the W. I think David, you know, he's won 9 out of the last 10 events at Oregon Trail Rally. Crazy. Insane that somebody can be that dominant at an event. It's mind-blowing. Anyways, we'll talk a lot about rally the next couple segments, power ranking, and then Tiffany Stone. Once again, at JBeaver15 on social media, chime in when we get into these power rankings. Would love to hear from you guys. Anyways, we're going to take a short break. We come back, Chris Leone and I, power rankings right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire. General Tire's Grabber X3 mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3 from General Tire. Make your anywhere possible by visiting GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, aggressive styling with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, along with Chris Leone. And Chris, we got some power rankings to get to. We're going to try, I say try, try and cram them into a 14-minute segment today. I don't know if it's going to happen. We may have overrun. If that happens, such is life, and we'll take up 2 segments. We're going to try and get them into 2 segments, though. Or 1 segment, excuse me. But, Chris, man, this was one of those we talked about, Memorial Weekend where you got the 500, Coke 600, Formula One. You got all that going on. You and I both know this weekend, and actually next weekend also with ARX kicking off, are big, big weekends. But this weekend, man, we had NHRA, Baja 500, doubleheader in Detroit. We had Oregon Trail Rally going on. We had motocross. Like, this was a massive weekend also.
Oh, yeah, Jim. This weekend was absolutely insane in terms of motorsports. If you couldn't find something that you enjoyed in the world of racing this weekend, you just flat out weren't looking hard enough. I mean, you've named off pretty much everything. Obviously, the stock car boys were out in Pocono and, had a few races there too. But yeah, drag racing, open wheel, sports cars, IMSA on the bill with IndyCar in Detroit, you name it, it was in action. I mean, pretty much the only thing that wasn't was drifting, and that's going to be this weekend in New Jersey.
Yeah, this coming weekend we've got Formula D, Pro Motocross, NHRA, IndyCar in Texas, which just breaking news, Connor Daly is going to be racing all the rest of the ovals the rest of this year for Max Chilton. That's some big news. But Greg Biffle back behind the wheel of a NASCAR truck. Like, I don't know, we got some rad motorsports news. I don't know, maybe this thing is going to take up 2 segments. We got a lot of stuff happening this next weekend.
Oh, yeah, Jim. I mean, I am excited to see the Biff back behind the wheel. I mean, I know you've gotten to hang out with him before. I haven't yet, but, just really a top-tier driver and somebody great for Kyle Busch Motorsports to put behind the wheel. I know they have typically been a driver development team down in the Truck Series, but, I mean, you have somebody who's won the championship there stepping in for a weekend. That, anybody like that is going to be a great benchmark and somebody who can really help you figure out, is our equipment everywhere that it needs to be? Is it everything that it needs to be? Is there anything that we can do that's going to help our younger drivers get closer to the front of the pack and be able to score some victories? So, yeah. I mean, it's hard to overstate the value of a guy like Greg Biffle coming in. And, for the fans, obviously it's just exciting to see somebody who has done so much behind the wheel, getting back behind the wheel, for the first time in a few years.
Yeah, well, and that being said, we're going to get to power rankings here in a second because I'm still trying to cram it in the 14-minute segment. But what are your thoughts with Biffle? I mean, him going in, like, obviously he's running with a top-tier team. He can step in, and we know, I mean, he took a podium in his very first ever Stadium Super Trucks weekend. But him stepping into Kyle Busch Motorsports, he can take a win there. But you got these young guns like Harrison Burton he's going to be teaming with. Man, that's another veteran brain for these kids to pick. Like, now you got Harrison Burton with his dad. He's got Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle's minds to pick. Like, 3 of the greats, man. Like, this is – how rad is that for a kid like Harrison Burton?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, like I said, it's hard to overstate the value of a guy like that because even when you've been out of the car for a couple of years and you've just kind of been out and – enjoying life, and I know that we've gotten to see the Biff, do some off-road stuff, hit up the dunes, head to Glamis, you don't forget how to drive a race car that quickly. And, Biffle was definitely somebody who still could have been on his A game, and just as far as the equipment that he had the last couple of years that he was running, I just don't think that he quite had what he needed. But you go to Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series, I mean, they are the Mercedes F1. They are the Andretti Rallycross. They are the Penske IndyCar, of that series. You've got the best vehicle out there. It's up to you. And again, as a driver, I don't think you're going to forget it that quickly. It's not like taking a couple of years off is just going to magically, erase all of that expertise and all of that skill. So, I feel like a lot of one-offs don't end up victorious just because, the guys who are running the full schedule just have that momentum and have a little bit of an advantage there. But I will be shocked if Biffle doesn't lead some laps and isn't at least in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, and that being said, this is probably going to be the highest TV ratings for a NASCAR truck race all year long.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you get somebody like that in there, I mean, we see Kyle Busch in there all the time, and obviously Kyle Busch comes in and wins, and, that adds a little bit of interest if you're somebody like me who enjoyed the chase for 200 National Series victories. But, you get somebody coming back like that. I mean, it's hard to really ask for more. So I'm excited to see, the Biff coming back. I mean, obviously, he's somebody who, we've worked with a little bit, through General Tire. And as a matter of fact, that kind of serves the perfect pivot into my power rankings, because we've got another General Tire shod driver who actually is going to kick off my top 5 if you're ready to go.
I am ready. Let's roll these things.
All right. Well, I've got Ty Majeski at my number 5 after taking back-to-back ARCA wins, this time at Pocono. Didn't really dominate the race. I believe it was Riley Herbst who was really leading most of that thing, but Ty Majeski towards the end coming on strong, just the same way that he did in Charlotte when we were there for it. It's awesome to see somebody who just kind of had an off 2018, didn't really have the luck that he needed, didn't really have the results that he needed. I mean, to come back in, have a limited schedule deal in ARCA, show up at Chad Bryant Racing, which, unlike some of the other teams in ARCA, doesn't really have a manufacturer link, doesn't really have a cup team link. You go in and you win 2 of your first 3 races in that car. That is a hell of a morale boost, and that is a hell of a way to put yourself back on the map. I mean, and the first race, the one that he didn't win at Talladega, he was still 4th place, So a guy like Ty Majeski to come back like that and to really put, a year you didn't want to have behind you is just incredibly impressive. And, there was no way, no matter how deep this race weekend was, with all of the different people who could very easily be on our list. We could have easily gone top 10 this week. There was no way I could leave Ty Majeski off, because to me, to see a young driver bounce back that way, I mean, veterans, they've been through it all. They've seen it all. They've done it all. But for a kid in his mid-20s to put a season like Ty Majeski had in 2018 behind him and go out and win 2 races in his first 3 tries with a brand new team, that's somebody who's a winner in my book. And so Ty Majeski kicks off my list at number 5.
Yeah, well, and talking about Ty Majeski, and I'm already making the call here that we're going to do 2 segments, because you and I just can't cram it into one. He's a kid. We had him on the show last week. Good interview. If you missed that for some odd reason, skip back and listen to it. But he's fighting each and every week for a ride. That's basically what he said. He's like, I got to fight every week for a ride. And I obviously coming, winning a couple in a row like he's done, man. That's big news for Ty Majeski. So I think definitely he's doing what he's got to do to stay relevant in that seat. That being said, my number 5, I'm going to switch to IndyCar here. We did have a doubleheader in Detroit. I thought, I was like, I got to have somebody from Detroit on on my rankings list because it was a big weekend for them. Newgarden took a victory. He's a points leader, but the one that impressed me the most was Scott Dixon. He's at my number 5 strictly because his Saturday was a yard sale. It was garbage. I mean, he got, last place? And when you can go from last place in the first round of a doubleheader to have the mental fortitude to come back and take a victory, in the second round of the doubleheader, to me, that played dividends. I ranked that really, really high. So I had Scott Dixon at number 5. Chris, don't give me your number 4, but give me your input on Scott Dixon.
Are you sure? Because he was my number 4. I am right there with you, Jim.
Okay. I mean, we got to take a break, though, buddy. We got to take a break. So now that we know that's your number 4, we're going to take a commercial break, and that's a good segue. So we're going to take a commercial break. We'll come back with Chris's number 4, which is coincidentally Scott Dixon, right after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com. And we're back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. And, as we learned right before the break, my number 5 on my list was Scott Dixon there at the Detroit Double. Yard sale first round, or I guess first round of the doubleheader. Comes back, wins the second round. Chris, he was at your number 4 also. Give me the lowdown on why you had him at number 4.
I mean, Jim, we were pretty much brain twins on this one. I mean, we talk about mental fortitude, and I talked about mental fortitude with Ty Majeski at my number 5. Having the ability to really be able to bounce back after having a bad weekend, or, in Ty's case at my number 5, it was a bad year in 2018. But, for Scott to turn it around in one day like that for Chip Ganassi Racing, and the other important thing there, that was Scott Dixon's first win of the season. He's been searching and searching for that first victory, and it took all the way until Detroit to finally be able to get it, with just how strong Joseph Newgarden's been, how quick Alexander Rossi's been. Takuma Sato has been fighting towards the front. Simon Pagenaud
wow,
dominated the month of May.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that until Detroit, Scott Dixon hadn't won an IndyCar race yet this year.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to do it, at any point, you got to do it big. And I think it's hard to think of a bigger way to do it, at this point in the IndyCar season than to recover from your first crash in multiple years, and turned around and be able to win the second day, in Detroit. So, and not to mention the fact that Scott Dixon won in Detroit in 2018 as well. So he was the only guy who was actually able to defend that victory from last season.
Yeah, no, that's big. All those same reasons, you'd said, and I know, one of the notables too, you talked about Scott Dixon failing to get a win. Another guy, that's kind of sneaking back there, and this tells you how competitive the IndyCar field is. But you got a guy like Will Power, who, Power, man, it's like, where's he been? He's been consistent. He's in the top 10 in points, but, he's another guy I don't want to call a snake in the grass because everybody knows who Will Power is, but he's a guy that's winless so far this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Jim. It's amazing to just think about the depth in the IndyCar field. And when you've got fewer than 20 races to work with, you are going to see some guys who, it's hard to believe that they're not in victory lane. So Will Power obviously being one of them. It's always funny to look at the IndyCar standings in October at the end of the season and see some of the guys who didn't manage to take a checkered flag. But it always, to me, seems to be a good predictor of who will win the following season. So, this might not be your year, but you put in a lot of work in the off season and you just might, come out with a torrid start or a torrid, month of May in the following year. I know that's exactly what Simon Pagenaud did because he didn't win any races last year and he pretty much swept the month of May.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess moving on, I got to give my number 4, because we're still talking IndyCar here, and we're going to run out of time in our second segment if I don't do so. So my number 4, I think this is actually the first time I've had a stage rally guy on the show in my power rankings so far in 2019. But I'm going to roll with my good friend David Higgins, who victorious there at the Oregon Trail Rally. Honestly, I think you look back at the past decade, and my stats could be wrong on this, but I believe David's like 9 out of 10 wins at Oregon Trail Rally. I think the only other person to take a victory there was Travis Pastrana. So like to me, that's just big. And Oregon Trail, it's such a hard rally because it's like 3 rallies in one. It's 3 days. You've got the race there at Portland that's almost like a rally cross, and then you've got one of the days that's out of Dufresne. It's big, high-speed, fast-rolling hills, and then you got the stages in Washington are the tight technical on that day. It's like 3 different rallies in one. It's one of my favorite rallies on the calendar. Anytime you can win an event 9 times out of 10, David Higgins, you're on my list, my man.
Oh, absolutely. And, David didn't actually make my list this week, I have to say, but that's got more to do with the fact that we had more we had more racing than we knew what to do with. I got to tell you, when I first wrote out my list, the guy who eventually ended up on my number 1, I totally blanked putting him on it, and I looked at myself and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to get some more sleep because that's a hell of an omission. And obviously we'll get there down the road, but yeah, I mean, Higgins and Subaru Motorsports, what they've done at Dirtfish Oregon Trail Rally over the past decade plus has just been phenomenal. It's always impressive to see what Higgins is able to do behind the wheel. I know that the start of this season has been a little interesting because you've had some winners that you might not have expected, but we've all kind of been waiting for the familiarity sort of to sink in and, for us to see David Higgins and Craig Drew back atop the podium at the end of an event. And, if there was anywhere that they were really going to be able to do it, you knew it was Oregon because they've just been so dominant. And I mean, I know that Travis managed to get that one on them. I think it was 2017, but you bet against David Higgins at Oregon Trail Rally and, you're making a huge mistake.
It's a fool's bet, as they would say. Yeah, and gambling, that's a
or
fool's
something
bet.
I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So where are we at on this list? I think we're through 4, right? We got 3 left to go, and I'm looking at the time here. We got 6 minutes to knock out 3 apiece. That's 60 seconds apiece. So who is your number 3 here, Chris?
Yes, sir, Jim. Number 3, I've got Craig Scanlon down at the Baja 500, taking the overall UTV victory. I know it's been a long time coming for those guys. I know Craig and his team have worked really hard to be able to get their Polaris RZR to the front of the pack. And I know you've worked with Craig pretty extensively, over the years. And, I mean, it was such a fight down in Baja. I mean, I think it was the top 3 UTV finishers all crossed the line, like one right after another. And, it came down to Sunday afternoon before we finally knew a winner because, I mean, you had corrected time at first and then you had a penalty get applied after the fact. And, it finally shook out that Craig was the winner and well-deserved and absolutely had to make sure he was on my list.
Yeah, it's an interesting it was an interesting shootout there in UTVs. I had Craig Scanlon. I always do kind of an honorable mention list. He was on my honorable mention list this week just because it was such a packed weekend. I couldn't slide him in, and for those reasons, I had number 3. With the season he's having, Ken Roxon, going 2-1 in the motos there, or 1-2, I should say, winning the first, getting second in the second. In pro motocross this weekend, I had Roxon number 3. I'm just highly impressed with him this year, and the way he's come back from all these injuries, and just a force. And it's great to see him riding at such an elite level. So I had Ken Roxon number 3 on my power rankings.
Man, and Jim, Ken was actually the name that I bumped when I realized that I had to put my number 1 on there. So, Ken was basically my number 6 for this weekend.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me moving up, I'm staying down in Ensenada. I'm staying at the Baja 500. Andy McMillan holding the physical lead throughout the entire race. That's remarkably impressive. I know he started out with the victory in San Felipe. It's been a good year for the McMillan family so far. Obviously, Luke also took the win at King of the Hammers. So, the McMillans have had just a pretty darn good year so far, and we're only into June, so there's plenty more trophy truck racing ahead of them, on both sides of the border. But, Andy McMillan had to give him the number 2. If you never give up the lead like that, in a race as grueling as the Baja, even though it's just the 500, you're on my list and you're high on my list. So Andy McMillan at number 2 for me.
Yeah, Andy McMillan was also my number 2. All the reasons you said. The guy's just having a dominating season. He's 2 for 2 in the score series, leading the points charge there with a couple of rounds remaining. I will note something about the McMillans. Andy and his 2 cousins, Luke and Dan, at one point in the Baja 500, it was a McMillan podium sweep. The McMillans were just dominating the trophy truck class, and I think Dan ended up having some problems. It was actually an interesting note. Dan and Luke's tracker box got reversed, so the ones that said Dan were actually Luke, and the ones that said Luke were actually Dan during the race. At one point, all 3 McMillans were in the top 3, and I thought that was kind of something special. But Andy's dominance this year, anytime he gets behind the wheel, this guy is just future Hall of Famer, winning Baja, 2 for 2 in the score series this year. He's definitely on my list at number 2 as well, which I'm thinking because of that, you and I probably have the same number 1. Who's your number 1, Chris?
Well, Jim, my number 1 is Steve Torrence, and like I said, I feel like an idiot when I did my first pass at my power rankings because I looked down, I realized that the guy who won the past 4 Top Fuel races wasn't on there, and I just kind of had a facepalm moment, like,
right.
Oh, man.
He started out so slow this year, too. That's what's crazy about Torrance, and he's my number 1 also. I almost knew after you'd said what you said he had to be number 1, but the guy went winless to start the year, and when Torrance gets hot, you don't want to be anywhere near that guy. Like, holy crap, 4 for 4. I mean, you get this Steve Torrance red hot like he was in the countdown last year, and, man, it is game over for the Top Fuel field.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, and that really says something, too, because until Steve-O finally got a Wally, there was a different winner in every single race, and that's just kind of a sign of a really deep and diverse field. And I know they had quite a few entries show up at Route 66 this weekend. I think you actually had multiple DNQs, which is always nice to see from a strength of entry standpoint. It's always great to see more racers show up to an NHRA event than you have spaces for in the bracket. I mean, it's tough to send anybody home in any racing series, but it's important to show that you've got tons and tons of quality entries. So it was 5-6 different people winning the first 5 or 6 races. Steve-O finally gets that second victory in a row, and just now it's like, oh, God, here we go again.
Lots to talk about. We're going to have to do it again next week, and I think it's going to be just as hectic. But we got to take a short break. We'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'd like to welcome Tiffany Stone once again to the show. I guess this will be in place of our Dirtfish Rally Report for this week, brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. You can find them on the web at www.dirtfish.com. JB Dirtfish will get you 15% off, all that good stuff. And they were actually the title sponsor of the Dirtfish Oregon Trail Rally this past weekend. T-Stone, you were actually at the Oregon Trail Rally. What did you, I think it was your first time to Portland, but what did you think of that rally? Because it's like that and New England are my 2 favorites of the year.
It was awesome. So it is our one 3-day race weekend that we have for the entire season. So you're right. I've never been to Portland, and I must tell you that scenic drive down 84 heading east, because we were hanging out in the Dalles, is beautiful. I'm like talking so beautiful. It's so scenic. It's amazing. And you might laugh at me because I could never pronounce this correctly, but it's the falls. I know you saw it on Instagram. What is it called? The Monotema Falls or something like that?
I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try.
I know, but they were so beautiful, and it was really awesome. And then on the way home, I got a chance to check those falls out again and, like, kind of even go higher. So it was just really cool and scenic and beautiful. And then, you know, it was so cool because one race was in Oregon at Portland International Raceway, and then the next day we were in Washington in Goldendale, and then we went back to Oregon and we were in downtown like Beaver, and it was just really cool.
Beaver is badass too.
It is. It was just all over, and it was just really, really cool. And I don't know, it's just, you know, I know you know this, but it was like really cool to see just different things and how the terrain changes, and then just have the mountains in the background and see these badass like rally cars.
Yeah, well, and I guess they reversed it because it used to be Portland, and then it would be Beaver, and then Washington. They must have flip-flopped day 2 and 3 this year, which is fine. I'm assuming it's pretty close. But, like, the stages out of Beaver, it's like those long rolling hills. You know what I mean? And it's like high-speed roads. But then, like, the Washington roads, they're, like, really tight, twisty, like, technical. Like, and then you talked about Portland, where it's almost like a rallycross. Like, it's that crazy event where it's like 3 rallies in one, really.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the cool thing about it. And so something that I learned that was really, really cool this weekend is you've heard the whole terminology, what in the Sam Hill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's an area called Mary Hill, and the guy who designed it, his name was Samuel Hill. And what he did is he realized that roads could be used for driving and could be for a fun entertainment type of experience rather than just getting from point A to point B. So what he did down this hill is just made it super windy back and forth and just different things. And he was showcasing that that's what the road could be. So when that happened, people would be like, what in the Sam Hill? And that's why, because his roads are all messed up. Isn't that funny?
That is funny. Question on the Washington side of things, did they do that? It was like a mini hill climb up like this really tight, twisty asphalt road. I can't think of the name of it offhand, but
Mary Hill.
Okay, so that is what they did, where it was like, yeah, the tight twisty is like 6 miles long, maybe. And they start at the bottom, go to the top, and then I think they do it twice. They used to, anyways.
Yes, they did it twice, and that is exactly, it's Mary Hill, and that's exactly what the story was about.
Yeah.
The architect named Sam Hill. Yep.
Okay, well, and like when I was there, that hill's gnarly. Like there was actually, they shut it down just for a couple hours for the rally, but we got there early, and we were setting up cameras and things like that, and it was kind of rad because there was some downhill skateboarders that were there before they shut the road down. I've watched it on TV. I've never seen downhill skateboarding in real life. These guys full on like leather suits, you know what I mean? And they're bombing down this hill on these skateboards at like 70 miles an hour, dragging knees and stuff like that. Like I was completely, thoroughly impressed with the skill of these skateboarders going down that hill.
No, it is. And like when you're looking at it, it doesn't seem that way. But a lot of the drivers were just talking about how fun it was to drive and just the uniqueness of it, and how they even still said it was like a nice, real, not mellow hill climb, but nice, just steady climb throughout.
Yeah, and it's not like Pikes Peak or Mount Washington where like you can get out of shape and get into trouble, but it's not like there's a 10,000-foot cliff and you're going to die around every corner. Like it's a hill climb, and there are some corners like that, but it's not like the whole thing is like death-defying. You know, it's like, I mean, it's just like you said, a fun road.
Exactly. So I thought it was a blast. It was really cool to see too. And this is one of the unique rallies because usually everything's in like the tight, turns of the woods, and there's not a lot of spectator areas, and you don't get to see them in such an open space. And that's what a lot of the drivers were saying. They thought it was really cool because the spectators were able to see some more. They were able to be out and windy, and like it was just a cool scenic view. You know what I mean? Like it was more rally than just the woods.
Yeah. Well, and I think it ended up being David Higgins and Pastrana had quite the shootout there, right?
Exactly. So pretty much for like the last 3 years, this would have been the third year, David Higgins, he's won it 9 times. And it was really cool because the one time he lost to Pastrana at 10.5 seconds. That was like what it was. So it was Pastrana and then Higgins. So this year was kind of like the tiebreaker. They're all joking. And then when I had a chance to talk to David Higgins at the end, he was like, I've won this 10 times, but I'll never forget the one time I lost. And that's exactly what he said. He lost to Pastrana, and that one hurt him more than winning 10 times. Yeah. So it's crazy to see that winning affects people, but not as much as the losses that they've had.
Yeah, well, and it's funny too because like I know David very, very well. Like we're very good friends, and I know Pastrana really, really well. And those guys are very, very close friends, but they're also like best frenemies. It's funny because like they show up to a rally and it's like gloves off, we hate each other for 2 days, and then and actually it's not even that way. It's just during the stages, and then the stages come to a close, and like I spent time in the motorhome with them both, and they're joking and poking fun at each other, but it's like, helmets go on, I hate you. And then as soon as the stage ends, like, all right, you're my friend again. Like those two have the most brutal like slugfests in rally cars, and then it's like, yeah, all right, we'll hug and make up afterwards.
No, that's awesome. It just shows that they're good sportsmen and, that they take racing seriously, but they also understand that not everything has to be taken too seriously. And it's crazy for David Higgins to be such a, great kick-ass driver pretty much. He's so soft-spoken. It's, kind of crazy. It's like usually the best drivers are the quietest ones.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've learned with David, he is a phenomenal interview. He is so well spoken. He is so ridiculously smart. He knows what he's talking about. He talks so eloquently, but like you said, he's kind of soft spoken. He's the one guy I know I'm going to get an amazing interview with, but literally on the microphone, I go and I take the gain and I knock it up just 2 or 3 clicks, just because I know it'll pick him up better. It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that about David, because he's one of my favorite interviews in all of motorsports because he's so well spoken. But you've got to adjust the volume just a hair.
Exactly, but it's cool, and then I got a chance to talk to a lot of the co-drivers, and, I've always said being a co-driver, no matter what sport series, what you're doing, is super imperative because you're pretty much directing, and, if you make one small turn, one small movement, together that could be a bad thing, but it's just, I give mad respect to all of those guys and women out there, that everybody that's just doing that is just awesome, and they had over 70 entries this entire weekend.
Yeah, that's crazy. 70 entries is really, really good for a national stage rally. And it's funny you mentioned the co-drivers, too, because, you've got David Higgins and then you've got Craig Drew, and Craig's just the opposite of David. Craig will tell you what's on his mind, and he'll do it very loudly. And Robbie Durant, Travis is loud anyways, but Robbie's very much similar to Travis, you know what I mean? So I think, some of these rally drivers, there's another one there that Seamus Burke and Martin Brady. Seamus doesn't even want to talk to anybody. He's just talk to Martin. Mm-hmm. Talk to Martin. Not interested. You can't interview Seamus. He does not care. He's nope, talk to Martin. So he's he's the mouthpiece for the duo. You know what I mean? But I think it's funny. Some of these drivers are soft spoken. You got the co-drivers nah, we'll talk to you. We'll talk. And then you get the real stories coming out of the co-drivers. So I think it's funny. They give you the real story that the driver doesn't want to tell anyways.
No, exactly. And I try to get those stories out of them all the time. You know me. I always try to ask the weird, the random questions. I always ask questions that I feel like I would want to know. Yeah. So it's just different things. I had a chance to talk to Kevin Walsh, and we made up this weird, dumb thing, okay? We were making up sitting in the back seat, because most of the vehicles are hatchbacks. So we're sitting back there, and then we're just hanging out, and we were joking, calling it bumper chat. We're bumper chat, bumper chat, bumper chat. And I like to just ask him cool questions, and then you come to find out that he likes, music, and he plays the harmonica, and I asked him, what's your favorite song to get ready to or whatnot, and he said he likes Muddy Waters, and I think it was Champagne and Reefer. And so, that's kind of cool because we were listening and joking. Then he comes out and says he played harmonica with Muddy Waters, his band, not necessarily him, but, it was just cool because you get to find out these real interesting, nice stories about drivers that you wouldn't know by just reading stats.
Yeah, Champagne and Reefer. I have never actually heard that song.
I think that's the song. I could be mistaken because I think I was just more astounded that he played, harmonica, but that could have been the thing.
I'm going to have to look that up. That one that's I can name, I don't know. It's just funny. I'm like, gosh, that could be played by a million different people. Willie Nelson, plenty of rappers, like pick your poison, right? I'm just like,
exactly.
Oh man. So all in all, great event though. How you liking? I mean, you're a couple stage rallies in now. How you liking the stage rally stuff, T-Stone?
No, it's really, really good. I really enjoy it. Everything's great up. It's just cool. It's unique. And it's fun to learn about something new and just learn to see what vehicles can do. And just, I don't know. I'm all about experiences, and I get to travel to a lot of places I haven't been to yet. So it's just, I don't know. I'm really excited and I'm thrilled, and I just don't want to know how much I'm geeking out right now.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing I absolutely loved about my couple of years spent doing stage rally stuff. Like, went to Washington, Oregon, Maine. You get to go to upstate Michigan. You get to go to the backwoods of Pennsylvania. Like, there's so many amazing places that, like, it's places you don't ever go. And even if you're a motorsports person, you just don't ever go. But what's in Maine and New Hampshire? Nothing for motorsports, right? Except for stage rally. And so, like, I think that's, like, that was the coolest thing about my time spent in stage rallies. Like you said, you get to see these rad places we've never seen before.
Exactly. And you get to meet a lot of cool drivers, and you just gain more respect for drivers in general. No matter kind of what sport they are or what they're doing, it's just, if you're riding, if you're driving, whatever you're doing, it's like you just gain more and more respect, and you just realize like how much time and effort it is that you have to put into no matter what to be at the top of the game in whatever series you're in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and talking about what other series, I know, what are we, about a week and a half away from Crandon, right? You and I both heading out to Crandon for the kickoff of Midwest Short Course 2019. I think, I don't know, we're just, I don't know, it's like Midwest Short Course is kind of the weird one. Like, everybody else's seasons are in full swing. They start in June, but I'm really, really looking forward to what's to come, especially being there in Crandon in a week and a half.
Exactly. I think we could move, one more date. We should have something in like mid-May, like we used to. That would be awesome. But I'm really excited. I think it's so cool. It's something that's so different. To me, what I feel like now, which is kind of crazy to say this, but like I feel like short course, honestly, is a mix between desert and stage rally. That's really what I'm thinking now, because it's like stage rally is kind of like all, not necessarily all in this one area, but you go to these cool different locations, and you have desert racing that has some of the same types of vehicles that you see out there, but now you're putting it in all one area that you can see all at one time, and I just think that's really cool. It's just, like I was saying, once you start doing different things, you realize like how cool each individual sport is.
Yeah, well, and that's what's crazy too, and this is like a whole, we could do a podcast on it, but we only got a minute left. But you take a guy like David Higgins, it's elite of the elite, and then you look at a guy like, I both know Antron Brown, who's elite of the elite in drag racing, and you look at Alexander Rossi, who is elite of the elite in IndyCar racing, and like, say, in desert racing, Rob McCacker, and like, how do you weigh one against the other? Because all of them are elite, like super talented drivers, and you can't say one's better than the other because they're so different,
Yeah, it's just cool. But yeah, we could keep going on and on. Maybe that's one that we should do for the off-road one.
Yeah, that's a podcast. But, we're up against a time break. T-Stone, thanks for calling in once again. And that was our Dirtfish Rally Report for this week, brought to you by Dirtfish Rally School. We'll be back after this. Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
And we're back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, to wrap things up for the day. Got to give a big shout-out to all of my guests. Tiffany Stone, Sara Price, Chris Leone, Harrison Burton, and, everybody that helps make this show possible. I've got to, wedding this weekend, then I'll be in transit to Crandon next weekend. But that doesn't mean we got any shortage of excitement. We've got basically ARX kicking off this weekend. We've got Pro Motocross, NHRA, NASCAR, IndyCar there at Texas. That is always an exciting race. Definitely looking forward to that one. So, I don't know. We got a bunch of stuff coming your way. I think we got Formula D in action as well. So, definitely not going to disappoint this weekend if you tune into the live streams and to the television sets. Definitely going to be a weekend for the books. Big shout out to good friends at Polaris Razor, General Tire, 4-Wheel Parts, mymedic.com. Don't forget, use a coupon code JimBeaver, 15% off. Vision Wheel, Gibson Exhaust, Dirtfish, Moto Shield Pro, Super ATV. Welcome to the family. And also Dirtfish, use the coupon code JBDirtfish. It's going to get you 15% off at Dirtfish Rally School. If you haven't already, go to iTunes, subscribe to this show. You'll get both the National Show and the 4-Wheel Parts Off-Road Edition. And subscribe to Project Action as well over there on iTunes. Check us out on the web, downanddirtyshow.com. And follow me. It's at JimBeaver15 on all forms of social media. We got a Facebook group, also a couple of additional Instagram accounts at Down and Dirty Show and at Dirt Daily Media. And I think that's all I got for you guys this week. Be safe. Have a great one. We'll see you next time right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.